Tonight, the Pope has canceled his trip to Africa, and that's causing concern for people waiting for him to come to Canada. Also, pollen problems. If you think you've seen more this year, you're right. We'll tell you what's up with all the pollen. Plus, some young football players from Northern Saskatchewan get to play in Mosaic Stadium with their heroes.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, June the 10th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The Pope has canceled an upcoming trip to Africa planned for early July. The Vatican says it's because of ongoing knee problems, and that's raising questions about his scheduled visit to Canada for later next month. Olivia Stefanovic has the story.
Following doctor's orders, Pope Francis is putting a pause on travel. First delaying a trip to Lebanon scheduled for this month. Now postponing a visit to the Democratic Republic of Congo in South Sudan, planned for the beginning of July.
I hope he gets better and come to Canada and to Nunavut.
The Pope's trip to Canada at the end of next month is still on, but some residential school survivors are growing anxious.
If there is any chance that the Pope will not come in, then I think there's going to be a lot of disappointment.
Pope Francis made a commitment to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis delegates at the Vatican last spring to visit. Following an initial apology, he offered for the conduct of some Roman Catholic Church members at residential schools.
Chiedo perdono a Dio.
The statement that he should read.
Survivor Kenneth Young expects the Pope to apologize again in Canada and go even further.
And state that he's sorry for what the Catholic Church did, and not say that he's sorry for what a few people did.
Young spent years advocating for a papal apology on Canadian soil.
This has to be it, this visit. I think this visit is going to happen.
Papal visits draw hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, taxing for an 85-year-old experiencing persistent knee pain, recently seen using a wheelchair.
This is a very important trip. It is more critical, I think, for Pope Francis' legacy.
He's deeply committed to reconciliation. He has supported the bishops in our building of relations with Indigenous peoples.
So far, it's full steam ahead, but with limitations. The Pope is only traveling to Edmonton, Quebec City, and Iqaluit, spending up to an hour at each event.
I'm confident that if it's at all possible for him to come, he will come.
That is the hope for the millions of Roman Catholics and Indigenous peoples counting down the days to the historic visit. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
Premier Scott Moe is back from his trade mission to New York and Washington, his second international trip in as many months. Moe touched down in Saskatoon this afternoon after being away for several days. The trip was all about promoting the province's energy and resource production. Moe says he had more than 40 meetings in total with various businesses and political officials interested in food, fertilizer, and fuel. He says if we make international sales, everyone will win when it comes to cost of living.
We find our way through to Q1, Q2. If the natural resource prices are continuing to show strength, we will look at how we can, cushion that for Saskatchewan people, ensuring that we are benefiting all of the people of the province. This would be a natural resource surplus, if that's what it was to be projected as.
Moe shrugged off criticism by the opposition for his trips abroad. He says the trips are necessary to promote Saskatchewan's exports, industry, and jobs. Since late 2021, Moe's traveled to the Middle East, Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, Germany, and the United Kingdom. Saskatchewan NDP leadership hopefuls have both received endorsements from Saskatoon MLAs. Last month, Caitlin Harvey picked up her first endorsement for leader from an elected MLA in Jennifer Bowes. Today, it was Carla Beck's turn. Beck received an endorsement from Saskatoon Eastview MLA Matt Love. Love is the NDP's education critic. He's the fifth current NDP MLA to endorse Beck. Love says Beck's stint in the role played a part in his decision to endorse her for leader.
Carla has a phenomenal reputation amongst teachers due to her time as education critic. And as I've listened to other teachers and hear them speak warmly about Carla and the work that she's done as an MLA, as an advocate for education, I feel like she's the right person to lead our party and to lead our province.
Beck has raised a lot more money than Harvey. As of April 30th, Beck raised $57,000 for her campaign. Harvey has brought in about $10,000. The two will debate in Regina on Monday. The leadership will be decided June 26th. A forest fire in northern Saskatchewan has prompted some residents to leave their homes northeast of La Ronge. Buses filled with community members in Stanley Mission made their way to Prince Albert, Saskatoon and Regina this morning. The chief of the Lac La Ronge Indian Band says many left in private vehicles, so she's not sure how many people went. Right now, it's up to individuals to decide if they want to leave, but a mandatory evacuation could come.
The winds are shifting away from the community, so there's no smoke in the community. The fire continues to be a threat to the community. Last night, between 8 and 1 a.m., the fire was very active and was moving into the community on the northwest side of the community. And it was a very scary situation.
Environment Canada says there is rain on the way, but only around 5 to 10 millimeters for the area. Humidity is expected to rise, which will likely help firefighters in the area. Allergy season is well underway, and so far it's been a rougher one than usual for many. Pollen counts are high in many parts of the country, including the prairies, where last year's drought and heat are being blamed. Bonnie Allen explains.
As an allergy sufferer with asthma, Jacqueline Woods had to take matters into her own hands.
See that? The plumes of yellow pollen, and these are, again, pressure washed twice already.
She's washing the pollen out of her spruce trees so she and her family don't breathe it in, something that happened last weekend.
The wind sort of rustled through the spruces, and I saw this tornado of yellow pollen, and instantly went inside and grabbed my mask.
But her son couldn't escape it and required medical attention.
It had already progressed to a lung infection for him. So he finally went back to school to antibiotics, inhalers. I think he's got 3 inhalers.
When I tap the branches, the pollen is just coming off.
This plant expert says the staggering amount of pollen we're seeing from coniferous trees like spruce, pine, and fir is the result of last summer's drought and extreme heat. Those conditions were stressful for trees and triggered a survival mechanism.
When a plant is threatened, when its survival is threatened, its reproduction system can sometimes go into overdrive.
Trees overproduced male cones that are now shedding pollen, and it's often highly allergenic. Francis Coates heads up a research lab that's tracking high pollen levels across Canada. Their measurements show the pollen started flying early this year and just kept coming.
Every year is different, but I'm comparing this year to last year, and the peaks are much, much higher this year.
You'll see even with the 2 nights of pressure washing and the rain we had through the night, there's still some live pollen in here.
This should all be over in a week or two, so Woods can enjoy going outside again. Bonnie Allen, CBC News, Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan.
It has been 194 days since the Saskatchewan Roughriders have played a home game at Mosaic Stadium. It's been even longer since there's been a full CFL season, and that changes tomorrow against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It's the first of 2 regular season matchups between the Riders and the Tabbies. The Ticats looking to start the road back to the Grey Cup, which they lost last December to Winnipeg. Riders quarterback Cody Fajardo will be seeing a menacing yet familiar face across from him tomorrow. Former Riders D lineman Micah Johnson was picked up by the Ticats in free agency.
A little scary. He's a big guy, and Hamilton's defense, they were in the Grey Cup back-to-back years for a reason. They're extremely talented. I think they got one of the best defensive lines in the league and front sevens in the league. Guys who have played a lot of football together that can camouflage looks and make it very difficult on quarterbacks. So I know it's not all going to be rainbows and unicorns tomorrow. It's not going to be all great. There's going to be some highs and lows and some adversity, especially the first game.
The fans help. I'll tell you what, Rider Nation helps. The 13th man is loud. The other team knows they probably have to go on silent count because of it. and I think the fans give our guys energy and give them a little bit of a boost. So we feel like it's important. That's one of the things we talked about as a team, of protecting the home field, and you only get one chance to open up for the season at home, and this is it.
Kickoff for that home opener against the Ticats is at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Dickinson says Mason Fine will back up Fajardo at quarterback. Now, while the Riders were putting the final touches on their prep for that game tomorrow, more than 200 high school football players from Northern Saskatchewan got the chance of a lifetime. For the first time since forming in 2014, the Northern Saskatchewan Football League held their annual Spring Jamboree in Regina. Almost every player took part in the week-long program. It culminated today with a football camp at Mosaic Stadium with members of the Saskatchewan Roughriders as their coaches. For almost every player, it was their first time playing on the turf. Their football heroes call home.
Oh, it's been great. This is an experience of a lifetime. Like, look at where we are. This is just unreal. It's been such a great time being able to further my skills and hopefully, win a provincial game next year.
It's been very fun and just a bunch of adrenaline when you get used to it. It's just very fun and nice to meet new people and see familiar faces. Seen some of my cousins.
It was kind of interesting. A lot of them were in Regina for the first time. They're going to see the stadium for the first time. Actually, one comment said this is the first time I've seen a horse and a cow for the first time. So there's that aspect of it, but there's also, they get to see all their different players. They get to hang out with other teammates, other teams. Like the bonding that's been happening around the dorms have been fabulous.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders Foundation fully funds the camp. It will wrap up tomorrow night with the young players taking in the game at Mosaic Stadium. Well, a rainy start to Friday couldn't keep even the keenest of golfers off the course in Regina. This is the Royal Regina, and the gentle rain was nothing a little umbrella couldn't protect you from. And many geese and ducks were out for a little stroll among the golfers as well. Will the sky clear and stay that way for fair weather golfers this weekend? Ethan will have your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The federal government will suspend random COVID-19 testing for vaccinated travelers at airports. It's effective tomorrow and will go until at least the end of the month. Unvaccinated travelers will be tested at airports, but the government plans to move that off-site in July. Ottawa had been facing mounting pressure from the travel and tourism industry, who've blamed recent chaos and long lines at airports on COVID measures. American officials said today that beginning Sunday, international travelers bound for the U.S. will no longer have to take a COVID test within 24 hours of their flight. Health officials do say, though, testing is no longer necessary because it could be reinstated if a new variant appears.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. The exclusive export event is back.
Ooh, we made it to Friday, and Ethan Williams joins me now with a look at the forecast. Lots of us getting some rain today. Welcome for some, but for others, well, not so much.
Yeah, that is right, Sam. Some relief, hopefully, for the forest fire situation up north. But I'll tell you what, we did not get nearly as much rain today as we did almost a year ago. This was June 11th, 2021 in Regina. A huge downpour led to between 50 and 75 millimeters of rain falling in the city in the span of just a few hours. Other locations in southern Saskatchewan, of course, saw lots of rain as well, but it was most significantly felt in the Queen City. Basements flooded, leading to a provincial disaster assistance program claims. The city pledged to invest in upgrading storm drains and other infrastructure. And yes, the Albert and Broad Street underpasses, of course, both flooded so quickly. A few people needed to be rescued from their vehicles. And we did have rain yesterday, of course, with that system that moved through those storms. And here are some rainfall totals from that. These are volunteer reports. 32 millimeters at Davin, just southeast of Regina. Regina. Vibank not too far away. That's just 6 millimeters. That just shows you how isolated those storms were. Regina depended where you were in the city. If you were in the north end, you got about 1.5 millimeters. If you were further southeast, you got closer to 10 millimeters. Saskatoon, though, also picking up some showers yesterday as well, about 6.5 millimeters there. And that system in the north that's moving through the Churchill region, Isle Lacrosse picking up nearly 10 millimeters from that. And rain is still falling right now. Band of moderate to heavy showers moving out of the southeast and the Parkland region. And you can't see it because there's no radar coverage in the north, but there are some showers now moving through the Churchill region, and they will continue to move through tonight. Now, tomorrow we do have another thunderstorm risk, but I think largely this one is going to be a non-severe risk, but it's pretty widespread throughout much of the south and central part of the province. Will just be isolated severe storms if they do turn severe. And we're looking at some strong wind gusts and maybe some small hail in there as well. But for tonight, showers and thunderstorms possible throughout much of the province, but I think that the bulk of the rain is going to stay to the north. Heavier rain moving through places like La Ronge and over toward the Cumberland House and Pelican Narrows areas tonight. And then we get to tomorrow, and again, spotty showers and thunderstorms possible through south and central as that system in the north starts to die off. We get to Sunday, and we have a pretty nice sunny day in the south part of the province. Central and northern portions could see some showers and thunderstorms. And then it's Monday and Tuesday we're watching. This system moves up from the south in the U.S. and is going to bring some heavier rain to the south part of the province. Totals through the weekend in the north looking generally between 5 and 15 millimeters. Heavier rain toward places like La Ronge and Key Lake. And in the south, this totals through the weekend are before that system moves in Monday, Tuesday. So we're looking at generally between maybe 10 and 15 millimeters. And keep in mind some of those amounts could be higher with thunderstorms as well. Our crop report came out actually yesterday, and it shows that we have about 90% of crop in the ground. We're getting close. This is above, or pardon me, it's below the 5-year average. This time last year, we were about done. And some eastern fields in the province, of course, as I mentioned last week, not going to get seeded because of all that rain, and they're just going to leave some fields unseeded. Some western fields having to actually be reseeded because of some growth issues and some insect damage as well. And I think farmers in the west part of the province will enjoy this forecast because some more rain is on the way. For Regina, for the game tomorrow, we're looking at possibly some thunderstorms and a high of 25. Nice Sunday, and then some cooler conditions into next week. Saskatoon, your forecast is generally a little bit cooler and rainier. That system moving in on Monday will be bringing maybe between 15, 25, possibly 30 millimeters of rain and some breezy conditions. So I got the Rider game covered, Sam, the crop report. I think I've just about covered it all. Don't ask me what plants you need to bring in for frost. We've been through that, but I think I've got it all covered.
Is there going to be any time that us fair weather golfers can hit the golf course over the weekend, or is it just going to rain the whole time?
I think Sunday is going to be a very nice day. Nice warm temps and light winds too.
All right, Sunday it is. Thank you, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Well, Thailand is giving away pots of pot to encourage the public to grow it at home. 1 million cannabis plants are being distributed for free starting today. It comes a day after Thailand decriminalized the growing and consumption of cannabis. The country is banking on its free giveaways, turning into cash crop for individuals and community farmers. Thailand legalized medical marijuana in 2018, but recreational use still frowned upon. We'll be back after the break. Raw, emotional, and graphic. Some of the words being used to describe Thursday's public hearing into the insurrection on January 6th of last year. New footage and damning revelations show how a crowd of pro-Trump rioters tried to enter the U.S. Capitol. But the former president is once again dismissing the allegations. Magda Gabrielasis has more.
We saw new footage of the attack on the Capitol. We also heard from committee members that the two right-wing extremist groups, the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, planned and carried out the attack to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. And we heard that former President Trump was to blame for all of this and for not putting a stop to it.
You will hear that President Trump was yelling and, quote, really angry at advisors who told him he needed to be doing something more. And aware of the rioters' chance to hang Mike Pence, the president responded with this sentiment, quote, maybe our supporters have the right idea. Mike Pence, quote, deserves it.
We heard this all went back to the big lie of a stolen election. Some of Trump's advisors testified, and so did members of his family.
I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was bullshit.
It affected my perspective. I respect Attorney General Barr. So I accepted what he was saying.
Trump reacted to all of this using his social media app. He called the committee political hacks. He wrote that he never said, hang Mike Pence, and he called out his daughter, saying she was checked out and just trying to be respectful of the Attorney General at the time. He also wrote, quote, the so-called rush on the Capitol was not caused by me. It was caused by a rigged and stolen election. Not so, says the committee. The chair promises more evidence showing January 6th goes back to Trump.
Are there going to be witnesses that describe actual conversations between these extremist groups and anyone in Trump's orbit?
Yes.
There will be?
Yes.
The next hearing is coming up on Monday. Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Washington.
Canada plans to become the first country in the world to print warnings on individual cigarettes. Addictions Minister Carolyn Bennett says the new messaging is intended to reach more people.
Adding health warnings on individual tobacco products will help ensure that these essential messages reach people, including the youth, who often access cigarettes one at a time in social situations, sidestepping the information printed on a package.
The new regulations will also expand warnings on cigarette packages to show a longer list of the health effects of smoking, and it will include new photos. Canada has required graphic images on packages for the past 20 years, but the pictures have not been updated in a decade. A 75-day consultation period will begin tomorrow, with changes expected to come into force later next year. In entertainment news, Justin Bieber has canceled concerts this week because he's dealing with facial paralysis caused by Ramsay Hunt syndrome.
As you can see, this eye is not blinking. I can't smile on this side of my face. This nostril will not move. So there's full paralysis in this side of my face. So for those who are frustrated by my cancellations of the next shows, I'm just physically, obviously not capable of doing them. This is pretty serious, as you can see.
He says a virus in his ear caused the temporary paralysis of the right side of his face. On Tuesday, Bieber canceled shows scheduled for the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. A concert in Washington that was supposed to go this evening has also been put off. No word yet on rescheduling them. And Ethan is back with one last look at tonight's weather.
And some clearing conditions tonight, Sam, but we could see some sun and cloud in Saskatoon tomorrow morning as we hit 8 a.m. We'll be at 14 degrees. Winds out of the west gusting to about 20 kilometers an hour. We'll warm up a little bit. Sun and cloud will stick around as we get to the noon hour. In Regina, we will also see some clearing conditions overnight. Sun and cloud as we get in to 8 a.m. Whopping wind gusts out of the northwest up to 8 kilometers an hour tomorrow at 8 a.m. And then at noon, more cloud cover building in. Will be at 24 degrees. And for game time, as we head to the 5 o'clock hour at Mosaic Stadium, we're keeping that forecast just about the same. 24, mostly cloudy conditions, light winds, and there is a chance, Sam, that we could see some showers in the middle of the game, so rain gear might not be a bad idea.
Not too shabby for games against a tabby? Thanks, Ethan.
I'm going to use that one.
That's it for us tonight. For News Anytime, you can always head to our website or YouTube channel. Ethan will be back with more tonight at 11. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.